Hi man, peace. So I'm back here with another video. And this video is more so going to be the conversation about fluid so-called black men. This week I made a video in explaining about the masculinity is dead segment that was championed on by Anthony Mackie, and a lot of people had conversations on it where basically it's entailing the fact that masculinity is dead. And so we changed gears where I'm going to be talking more about the so-called black male who becomes a liberal and those that go to these schools where they usually study psychology or study any of these liberal arts study programs and stuff like that. And they get heavily influenced by it to the point that they make themselves look ridiculous, or yet they are against you, straight black man. So we're going to be going over this video. This young black man is going to be in a debate or have a conversation with Charlie Kirk, who's been known to be in these like debates around schools, debating about politics and not genderism, but like liberalism and all these different things out here. And a lot of times when you see these videos, not just with Charlie Kirk, when you see it with a lot of these different folks, even a black guy that used to be a police officer, and then, the other ones that come on campus and they debate, usually a lot of these liberals lose their minds. A lot of these young men and young women do all these different things to be rude and disrespectful to the one that's hosting the debate. And then after they don't get their way, they start taking in all these different antics in order to prove that they're upset and they're mad because they don't like the fact of the matter that that other person is being calm, probably being condescending and all these different things, but at the same time, making them look at themselves in the mirror and they don't like it. So obviously they engage in violence and the women are do something stupid. Like I seen this one video, I think with Charlie Kirk as well, where it was this young white woman, young so-called white woman who was basically losing a debate. And so what she tried to do was take out her breast and show her nipple to basically get his channel in trouble. Not understanding the fact that even if it's broadcast as live, a broadcaster, they can always edit it out. You know what I'm saying? They don't think like that. But let's check this joint out. And you're going to be surprised that Charlie Kirk actually refers to this young man as Jussie Smollett. Let's check it out.
Hate crime 5 times in one night, okay? 3 of them by Trump supporters.
What happened
So
to you?
I was just walking, and then I
Now, before we begin, what we have to analyze is this is not to say that, you know, Trump supporters are not capable of doing these different things. I think for a lot of folks, what usually happens is they always refer to January 6th to egg on the fact that Trump supporters are these dangerous groups of people and racists that'll do harm to other people and stuff like that. Now, what you about to hear about this young man, is he going to say that he got raped by them? Let's not spoil it. Let's check it out.
see this truck full of 4 white men pass by me, MAGA apparel, everything, you know. They drove past me, and they were like, you bend over.
Okay, so they said the N-word on campus to you.
Well, yes.
Okay, so what happened to them when you reported them?
I didn't report them.
Threatening to rape you is an intent of a crime. Did you go to the police? You file a police report? You hire an attorney? You sue the school? Did you go to the civil rights office? Do you file a civil rights complaint? To do any of that? Because you should.
Okay.
No.
And this dude is a fucking idiot. Because this is my thing. I'm not saying it's not possibly happen, but I mean, obviously, this would gain national attention if it's some random young so-called black men who they don't know to be gay or anything. He's just walking the streets randomly at night, and then these Trump supporters drive by him and call him an N-word and tell him to bend over because they want to basically have sex with him. I'm not saying, certain things don't happen, like these people will warn you that they're going to grape you and all this other stuff, but I usually would think that if it's someone alone that they're vulnerable, and these so-called Trump supporters that he's saying was going to basically do something sexual to him would just jump out the truck and basically pin him against the wall and then have their way with him. Like, I mean, I can already smell bullshit. And it does remind me of the Jussie Smollett situation, which certain people got mad about. But let's really face facts. Jussie Smollett lied. He lied, and come to find out it was two so-called black men that were his bodyguards that was involved in the situation. But that comes under the umbrella of liberalism. And when the so-called black man finds himself under liberalism and he's going to all these campuses to talk about liberalisms, women's rights, and talk about all these different things where he practically becomes a simp, or at most he becomes fluid on campus or throughout his whole life, he starts being just as ridiculous as them. You are the company you keep type of thing.
Did you? Tell me. Yes or no?
I did not, but I'm
Why?
not going to argue with
No,
you
but
on
you're
my
coming in front of 2,000
experiences.
people to say it. Why did you
Right.
not go to the university and say this happened?
Next instance, they threatened to rape me and then just drove off.
Hold on. So a bunch of Trump guys who are largely white heterosexual males then also threatened to rape you?
Different group of people, but yes.
I'm going to show you the university official, and why don't you go file a Department of Education complaint, and let's find these terrible people that did this to you. Can we agree?
Okay.
Okay.
I'll think about
And by the
that.
way, we'll be
Now, my thing about it is this is so fucking stupid. This is my thing. If you know that you've been raped by someone, I understand the psychological, the mental aspects, and you might not be proud or might not be too humble to talk about your experiences out in the open or say, hey, I've been raped, whether that's male or female. I understand that. I get that. But in certain circumstances, you have to really ask yourself, do these stories add up? Which has happened numerous times to men where there have been women that lied on men and sat up there and said that that man had raped them. And all of a sudden, these men are doing all these years in jails for the crimes they didn't commit. Now, flip the script. This is a young so called black man who seems to appear to be fluid, and I might question his sexual orientation, that he might not be a straight man. Now, answer me this like I'm a 2 year old. What white heterosexual man is just going to be sitting in the truck, driving by, camping out on a random so called black man, such as this one on a screen, and going to say to him, I'm going to grape you, and then just drive off? Wouldn't he finish the job? Wouldn't he go ahead and try to intimidate him a little bit more to get under his skin and then jump out the car to intimidate him? I mean, all these scenarios could happen, but it makes no sense for a white driver to just come up to a black kid or a young black man and just say, I'm going to grape you and drive off. See, there's a lot of holes in these stories. But again, my opinion is that this comes from a lot of that bullshit liberalism rhetoric and how they can get off, lie, and sit up there and get away with it and play the victimization card. And it makes no sense.
able to look at security camera footage, and we'll see.
Okay, I'll think about
But you
that.
didn't do that.
Can I
though.
try to finish?
You'll think
I'm
about
gonna-
it. Hold on. Why wouldn't you want to do that immediately? No, honestly, I think you're Jussie Smollett at this campus. I think you're completely making this whole thing up. I think you are a complete liar because I am now giving you an opportunity to report this at the high. I will bring this to Linda McMahon, the head of the Department of Education, the federal government. I will make sure these people are arrested by Kash Patel, the head of the FBI. And you'll say, oh, I'll think about it. Because you're making this up. You're doing this for a political purpose. So will you, no, seriously, Kash Patel will get involved. Yes? It's a hate crime. That's not acceptable. Will you do this or not?
Now, my thing about it is he's going to end off saying a ridiculous statement, and this proves the point about how when they get involved in that nonsense on campus, I'm specifically talking about college, that when they morph into that because they're looking for friends to agree with them or come up with all these antidotes and all these stupid things to basically victimize someone like Charlie Kirk because Charlie Kirk stands in his opinion. Doesn't matter that he's a white man and this is a black man going on on the broadcast and he's speaking to the microphone. It's just the fact of the matter, it's men that's recognizing you for your bullshit or people who's recognizing for your bullshit. You're gonna say, oh, the crazy right and all these other things. It's about no. The problem in the society is that people have victimized themselves and think that people are supposed to sympathize with them and empathize with them just because they have a story that seems to be plausibly very wrong. But at the same time, no one ever tells them, like, what you're saying is bullshit, right? Because a lot of things don't make sense and people are not logical enough to understand this dude is fucking lying. Like, I mean, honestly, and the thing about it is, grape is a serious thing. So what if he actually named names of the people who actually attempted to grape him and they happened to be students on campus? Do you know they could have went to jail for that? It would have been a whole court case and all these different things and putting people's lives in jeopardy because you wanted to sit there and lie to Charlie Kirk. And then he's going to sit up there and say this is hate speech.
That's really cute, Charlie, but I'm trying to give you the opportunity to alleviate hate within this group of people who have a shared
No.
ideology.
But hold on a second. There's no hate. There's just love of America here in this audience. That's all that's here today, okay?
And my thing about it is the whole entire time he's on a mic, he's just smiling and laughing. And he has the smirk on his face, which lets you know he's not confident in the things that he's saying, what he believes in, or this bullshit ideology, which is nothing more by playing the race card and using an antidote like Trump supporters to get his way when it comes to the whole entire thing. This is a thing. Personally speaking, Bronzebird does not care who you voted for. Bronzebird doesn't care if you're a Democrat, you're a Republican, you're a Trump supporter, or you're a non-Trump supporter. The problem in this country is that people use emotional prime to get over and to use people for what they have in their emotions to make it seem like they've been innocently touched or innocently dealt with in a way that they weren't supposed to, and everybody's just supposed to stick up for them just because they lied. Or, well, they don't know that they're lying, but they know at the end of the day, like their story is supposed to be impactful. Very dangerous field. And the thing about it is with so-called black men, because usually my channel is geared towards you guys, sometimes you got to look and analyze the fluid so-called black man. Because the fluid so-called black man is not your friend. He's the gatekeeper for the black woman, and more so the gatekeeper for feminism. Even though they don't put him on the same throne as a so-called straight so-called black man. Y'all both still at the bottom of the totem pole, but at the same time, it's basically the so-called fluid gay black man trying to get somewhere in the society by basically aligning himself with feminism and liberalism. So if you like what you heard, make sure you give me your thoughts in the comment section. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Peace.